Welcome to Starbucks. You people are so cruel to me. You're mean and inconsiderate and tell me I'm too short and I'm not girly enough,
Yeah, you don't meet the height requirements.
right?
You're too tall. You're gonna need you to be about a foot and a half shorter.
I am not sure if that's possible.
Oh, my uncle, he was driving a motorcycle. He fell asleep and he crashed into a guardrail and it compacted his spine. So now he's 2 inches shorter.
Oh my god, that just hurts me thinking about it.
Now I'm taller than him. It makes him so mad. He's like, my little niece is bigger than I am.
Alright, so before this week, I literally had never had anyone actually sit down with me to help me make a police report.
Oh my goodness.
See, people keep telling me to do stuff. Sean, you need to do this and you need to do that. And then I do it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And they've never tried it, so they just have shitty assumptions.
Seriously, no one's ever just sat.
No, they were too busy making assumptions and telling me how to think and feel. You should have been at my dad's house when I was trying to explain it to him. Oh my god! You would think that I tried pulling his wiener off with like a crab or something. But yeah, that lady, the one that has problems with heroin,
Yeah.
she tried helping me last week. She was actually sober when she was trying to help. She's like, dude, this is not what I thought it was. I'm like, yeah, I know. She said, well, why don't you just call him? Like, oh my god, I've tried that. What did you think of it? Does it look like there's anything there even close?
Like, I just don't understand what they expect you to do because yeah, I mean, even just like trying to call in when your stuff got stolen, it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because I was like on the phone in tears with these guys. I'm like, I don't understand why you just won't help. This is stupid. So I can see how frustrating this has to be for you because it just feels like there's no way to get help.
There is no way to get help without somebody in person. That's what I've been explaining to people. I need a witness. You know, with all these people that I had asked for help with this, if they were to sit down with me, they would have been able to see the very same things you saw today.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that stuff about Clearview. You got to see that stuff about the officers. Really, I should probably pull up a bunch of the threats. I mean, there's hundreds of threats. I just
Yeah.
took samples of them. But I mean, the sheer quantity of stuff that these people did to me, and because the cops wouldn't take a look at it, they got to play like they were victims. And there's people like Kara Miles. She was pretending she was an autism advocate.
Yeah.
And her friend Shelly, that's Natalie's stepmother, ex-stepmother, was the one that was hooking me up with her. Like, yeah, this woman is supposed to help you out. She wasn't. She was playing head games. And I went to Natalie, the guy who killed her. His name is Joseph Lopez. So I went to his court date, and I had to go alone. I got to go to everything alone, pretty much. And in Larimer County, there was a few people who showed up at court, which kind of screwed me because when those people showed up at court, they made sure they continued it instead of doing whatever it is they were going to do to screw me if nobody showed up. But I've been trying to make a report about the Bollingers and their harassment and the harassment by Dalton Crawford and Braxton and all these other people. And they're friends with the Bollinger family. They're friends with the people who killed Natalie. I mean, literally, they killed Natalie. Their opinions of her and of me destroyed both of our lives.
Well, it's just awful. I feel like it's just people feeding into the slander that happened to you, and then it just tumbled from there.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to defend myself. That's why it tumbled. The police wanted me to be guilty because I'd been speaking out about Boulder police for going on a decade by that point. I mean, I'd been speaking out about them since I was a kid because some of the first police I ever had to deal with were in Boulder. That's because I went to Centennial Peaks Mental Hospital when I was 6. And when you tell on people in there, they do the same thing to kids they do to homeless people. Being homeless is exactly like being a kid in the system, except you're allowed to walk places, and you have to carry your stuff everywhere.
I'm so sorry you've had the life that you've had. I wish I was your family member so I could have been there. It's a long time ago.
It's all right. There's a lot of people who I love dearly that ran away.
I feel like she can get out.
You're good. But I needed their help, and they kept on doing the same thing, telling me, do this, do that, do this, do that. I'm like, I'm trying this.
Yeah.
I'm literally trying it. I've gone through 100 times trying to figure out how this all works. Like with that Boulder one, the 30-minute time limit. There is no way. I type one-handed. I do the ding, 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 one finger thing.
So what if you pull it up like you're about to start it. Look at the questions that it's going to ask you and go on to like a separate, like a Word document. Type up all the stuff you need so then you can just copy and paste it.
And I do know how to copy and paste. That's something I've known how to do for a while.
Perfect. I think that'll really help because then you don't have to like obey that stupid time limit. You can type it outside and then just move it on in there once it's like.
Yeah. The
right.
problem is, I mean, what category do we look at it under? I mean,
know.
everything on there is, first of all, they say not to go through them unless we don't know who it is that did it. Well, I know who committed these crimes. So where do I report it?
I wonder if I can call them and ask them, but I feel like. No.
Yeah, you call the police and ask them how you can report on the police. They're going to bullshit you like they did to me and Aaron Cockerham and Miss Peaches and Mandy Hughes.
So hard.
Exactly. And I needed people to come together and actually help instead of bullshit me. A lot of these people, they bullshitted me because they wanted the free money that they thought I was getting. And I did eventually start getting some money coming in, but I mean, it's not even close to enough to cover my expenses.
Yeah.
I had to live off of $700 a month in disability, and it was costing me $1,400 a month to be falsely accused and never have an honest court date. I mean, they literally would not look at any evidence, wouldn't allow me to introduce any evidence. That bag that I got in there? Yeah, I literally carried that everywhere with me, trying to show every officer, every public pretender, every DA, anybody at all with law enforcement, any one of my friends. I mean, literally everybody who said that they would help me with it didn't. They made zero effort to actually look at that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't make the time, because I certainly did, and it was difficult with all the stuff the courts had me doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they had me jumping through 4,000 hoops, each one of them costing me money, all of them sending me back to areas where I'm being victimized, and I needed to be able to defend myself against that slander. I mean, when I first left Virginia, I needed to be able to defend myself against that slander.
Absolutely.
Now, within a couple hours of being in Boulder, I did have somebody shove me, but it wasn't like an assault. They were just telling me I needed to leave. And I didn't want to deal with their bullshit. But that's the thing, like, you got to sit there with me and work through it. And that lady last week sat with me and tried to work through it. And it's been a week and a half, it's still not done. Do I get to treat you like you're a terrible person because it didn't work?
No, thank you.
All right, good. We're in agreement on that. At least you tried.
And I'm going to continue to try. I'm not going to stop just because it didn't work.
See, that's how I am. I've been trying to make a police report for 2.5 years over this. I've been trying to make a police report since January of 2017.
And I'm going to be sure I write a statement saying that you've been trying. And talk about all of my experiences since I've gotten to know you.
Now, if only I could get all the Starbucks employees to do that. Like Miss Roberta Richards down in Boulder, and McKenna Tessler, and Tom is probably a good one. He was one of the very first people I met at the Starbucks there. And then the people at the Starbucks in Cheyenne, Priscilla's super cool. I actually have they did some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
One of the employees there. But I was able to get it cleared up. They almost had me beaten up, my window broken, and my vehicle towed, and me arrested because they were dishonest. But it's not a they thing, it was one person in specific.
Yeah.
Now, everybody at that Starbucks knew that I was staying in my vehicle. All of them knew that I showed up there early in the morning, and also that I have two phones they are exactly the same, and they have different times on them.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd show up a little bit early. Like on Sundays, they didn't open until 5. During the week, they opened at 4. So I showed up, it was a weekend, and I showed up a little bit early, about 20 minutes early. And next thing you know, I've got cops beating on my window, and I'm like, all right, these guys need to stop. This is the second time they've pulled this. And it turned out one of the assistant managers, his name was Alex.
Yeah.
I already knew he was anti-hobo. But, you know, he laughed at my jokes, and I tried to keep a positive attitude with him as best I could, just like I do with Jerome. But I can tell who's got those symptoms. It's not difficult to tell. It's not like it's rocket science. It's like when you've been beaten by enough dudes, it's pretty easy to tell when a dude's going to beat on you. I should let you get back to work tonight.
It's okay.
Thank
Take
you.
care of yourself like that.
I'll at least pretend to.
So exciting. I have a video.
Now, there's agreed upon help. When you make a deal with somebody, let's say you got a brindle pit bull, right? Or you'd like to get a brindle pit bull, I should say. And some dude has brindle pit bull puppies, and he's selling them for $200 each. So there's pictures of these brindle pit bulls, and you're like, I totally want one of those. So I'm gonna get $200, and I'm gonna get me one of them dogs. So they tell you, well, you got to give me the $200 first, and we're gonna do an in-home visit to make sure it's okay. And if we decide not to adopt the dog out, you don't get your $200 back. But you want the dog, so you do it. You go through all the hoops that they want you to jump through because you want this brindle pit bull. So they take you $200 and they come to your house and they're like, yeah, looks like a good home. But instead of a brindle pit bull, they give you a little stuffed animal. You just went through all of that work for a brindle pit bull and you got a stuffed animal. That stuffed animal is not what you did all that work for. You just paid $200 and spent a bunch of your time for a service that you didn't get. And that's the problem, is that I expended my resources for these empty promises. And they were empty promises. Tabby, she could have said she wasn't going to make a report and wasn't willing to try. She could have said that from day one. I would have found somewhere else to go, or at least made the effort. But her and Graham both said that they would help. I expended my resources to get the help that they promised, and that help wasn't there. Then they want to throw it in my face, the help that I did get. Well, that help that I got wasn't what I wanted. It's not only not what I wanted, it's not what we agreed upon. I did not agree to get a stuffed animal. I agreed on a brindle pit bull. So where's my brindle pit bull? Danica Garner made empty promises too. So did Rochelle Shelley Campbell. Now these people get to play victim. These people get to play victim like they didn't do anything wrong because it was their friends who did it. It's not Maddie's fault. It was her customers who did it. It's not Alicia's fault. It was Dalton who did it. It's not Shelly's fault. It was Kara who did it. Well, fuck all of you fucking cowards. Y'all want to harass me and go hide behind the police. You want to bitch at me for going to the police. But it's alright for you, it's just not alright for me. I got enough evidence to convict a lot of people in the state of Colorado. The problem is I couldn't get anybody to look at it. People who pretended like they cared, pretended like they loved me, pretended like I was family. They showed me I'm not. Like Aunt B. She knew how important it was that I get that mail and that I get it in a timely and efficient manner. But she blew it off and blew it off and blew it off, and it fucked me. And she doesn't want to hear that it fucked me because it makes her feel bad. Well, I don't care. I don't. Do you care how bad it makes me feel? That because these people didn't keep their word, I'm going to be punished for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, that slander gets to stand. For the rest of my life, I will be stuck, branded as a stalker and a rapist and a child molester. You know, here's the thing about that. Ted Bollinger is a child molester. Tim Beeson is a child molester. I rescue children. I rescue single mothers and single fathers. Y'all want to pretend that I'm sexist because I call women cunts when they do fucked up shit that gets people hurt. Well, I call men the same thing for the same reason. Now, I know that socially speaking, it's okay for Tammy to beat on Christopher Tapp for 30 minutes. He's not allowed to do anything back. However, he served quite a bit of time in jail for assaulting a woman that assaulted him. I honestly think that he should have knocked her the fuck out. If a woman's gonna beat on you for 30 minutes and you take that abuse for 30 minutes, whew, that's some doing. I was raised that you never hit a woman. I believe you should never hit anybody unless you're defending yourself or your loved ones. I don't exactly follow that rule. I'll take an ass whooping for a stranger. I've stood in front of plenty of them. I needed actual help, not pretty words. But you know, people wanted to procrastinate and treat me like I was procrastinating. I didn't get thousands of screenshots by procrastinating. That's hundreds of hours of work that I had to do to get those.
Hi, Sean.
Sober Sean.
Oh, hi, Sean.
I'm talking to your machine.
How's it going, troublemaker?
Well, I'm making a video that'll piss people off, so I'm doing all right.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Is Connor still there?
No, Connor went home.
Ah,
Aw.
right.
It's just
Alright.
Nick now.
Well, I'll be in just a minute.
Okay, see you then.
Yes, ma'am. I don't really care how pissed off you are. Walking away from the situation. That woman in the blue hoodie, she's addicted to methamphetamines. She scratches her face off. She asks me if I know where to get some shit, which is what they call it here, or some poop, depending on where you're at. Now, despite the fact that I tell her every time that I don't have any, she seems to notice me and ask a lot. And I got Tourette syndrome, so I get all winky blinky when I'm nervous and do weird stuff with my wrists. It sucks. Because although I didn't personally do anything wrong, and I didn't personally smoke any meth or shoot up any heroin or snort any cocaine, I still get treated like that. Really, what helps me out is getting to smoke a fat bowl. Sit down with a homie and talk some shit. I needed my friends in real life. I needed them to take an active role. I needed them to tell the truth. And you'd think that's like asking them to give up their firstborn. Assisted suicide should be legal. If the cops can do this to somebody like me, they can do it to anybody. There aren't very many people I know who have the moral standing that I do. Even with the cursing and all of the meanness that I gave back. You should have met me before I hurt my back. You should have met me before Virginia. Natalie, well, she always tried to make her sister happy. Her sister's happiness was more important than her own. I wonder what her and her sister were fighting over before she died. I'm never going to stop speaking out. Fact is, everything was done to prevent me from being able to defend myself. To paint me as a terrible person. To paint me as some sort of a monster. Well, now I don't mind acting like one. I'm not going to go hunt you down in person. Are you out your goddamn mind? I'm hunting for your words. I'm hunting for a court date. And I'm hunting to see you in prison. If I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you with time. And it's well worth the rest of my life in prison to see to it that these people never get to harm anyone again. I said there's nothing I want more than to be a cellie with the son of a bitch that killed Natalie. I'll be honest with you, I like Joseph Lopez. Based on what I know. Or what I know for certain, rather. Now there's other stuff, like, did he rape her before he killed her? I'm pretty sure he did. But because I don't have any proof of that, I can't use that in my judgment of him. If he did rape her before he killed her, well, I think he and Ted Bollinger should share the same fate.